Gerry Anderson was one of British television's best creators. He did the impossible.
I mean, I think, without doubt, Gerry Anderson has been probably one of the most influential people in my entire life.
To me, Gerry Anderson was a legend. He created these fantastic shows. They were unique in their own special way.
I would have loved to have met Gerry and to have interviewed him, not so much about the series, but about the business side of it.
He was born in 1929 and led a fairly solitary childhood. His brother Lionel became part of the RAF as a pilot, which sparked much imagination in Gerry at a young age. After the war, Gerry nearly moved into becoming an architect, but changed direction when he found he was allergic to lime in plaster, and thus went on to start a career in film. He worked at Gainsborough for a while in various roles such as editor and dubbing editor, and then on to Polytechnic Films. When they folded, he decided to form his own company with partner and cameraman Arthur Provis, John Reed, Reg Hill and secretary Sylvia Tam, later to be his wife.
Gerry ended up making these incredibly sophisticated puppet series that you could totally take seriously.
Alan, good luck. And to you. All of you.
When I first met Gerry, it was at the National Space Centre in Leicester in 2011, and that just made my day. To meet my greatest hero.
And so began his winding path with twists, turns and challenges as he and his dedicated team rushed into the television industry. His show started with the adventures of Twizzle.
Roberta Lee came along and said, I want you to make a 52 episode series, children's series called The Adventures of Twizzle. Gerry desperately needed the work, so had to take it, and then he was told that it needed to be made with puppets.
And followed on to Torchy the Battery Boy, both made in the late 1950s and written by Roberta Lee.
Because I'm of a certain generation, I can recall seeing Gerry's very early works, the likes of Twizzle and Torchy, on the television.
The four feathers on this hat are magic.
Four Feather Falls came next, a puppet western actually written by Barry Gray, the regular composer for Gerry.
Don't have much of a recollection, again because of my age, about the actual details of the show, and I don't remember them being as crude in my mind as perhaps they look when you look back at them today.
The series featured Tex Tucker with a dog and horse that could speak.
And his guns to fire without him even touching them. And now, another exciting adventure from Four Feather Falls.
Supercar was arguably the first show to officially use supermarionation, although some fans do say Four Feather Falls. Nevertheless, Gerry's original idea, along with the help of producer Reg Hill, brought the show to life.
Supercar, supercar, it travels on land or roams the skies.
Okay, Venus?
Okay, Steve.
Right. Let's go.
Fireball XL5 continued to show AP Films' production values develop. The special effects increased, models became more detailed and sets became more eloquent.
When you compare Fireball XL5 to Stingray and then to Thunderbirds, what you realise is, in that period of time, between Fireball and Thunderbirds, there's just a huge explosion of a development in the special effects and the puppetry used in the series. The level of sophistication went up hugely.
It was around Fireball XL5 that Lou Grade of ATV bought out AP Films to commission many more things from the Anderson production stable. Steve Zodiac was the star of the show, along with the companions Dr. Venus, Matthew Mattick and Robert the Robot.
Stand by for action. We are about to launch Stingray.
Stingray became the next logical step, as they had covered a show based on land with Supercar and one in space with Fireball XL5, and so a series set at sea sounded perfect.
Stingray, for me, cowboys and Indians underwater, very definitely. A product of its time, certainly, but really good fun and entertaining to watch.
Okay, one move and you're dead. Thanks, Marina.
This was the first television show to be filmed in colour, featuring the adventures of Troy Tempest, Phones, Atlanta, Commander Shaw and Fisher of Marineville, as they used Stingray against underwater enemies such as Titan and Agent X-20.
A hard core of characters, and I loved the adult interaction of the triangle of Troy, Marina and Atlanta. That really pitched the scripts at a slightly different level and meant there was something else in there other than just a crash bang wallop.
Thunderbirds are go.
Thunderbirds was being re-shown on BBC Two. These would have been the digitally remastered episodes. And then all of a sudden, in the TV listings, Thunderbirds wasn't there anymore. And in its place was this show called Stingray. And at the time, you know, Thunderbirds was like my thing. I knew about Thunderbirds. That was it. Thunderbirds was the big show. Thunderbirds was my favourite show. That was it. So to find that had gone and been replaced with this Stingray show, whatever that was, you know, filled me with horror. I was furious. But then my mum said to me, "Oh no, you'll love Stingray. Stingray, you'll really love that. I mean, if you like Thunderbirds, you really will. You'll like Stingray as well. Don't worry." I was like, I wasn't convinced. Then I watched it, and of course,
Anything can happen in the next half hour.
it was at that point that I realised, whoa, this, you know, Gerry Anderson, he's done loads of shows.
Thunderbirds, arguably the show Gerry is most known for, came afterwards, inspired by a German mining disaster.
The idea came to Gerry from hearing a radio report about a mine disaster in Germany and how a rescue attempt was being made. And he got the idea from that, and he thought, I want to do a story about a rescue organisation who fly around the world and save lives, but with more high-tech equipment.
And the way I figure it, that gas is our only hope.
It featured the 5 Tracy brothers as they fought nature and rescued people in danger all over the world, along with Agent Lady Penelope and her servant Parker.
I just think the overall package of that particular series is just brings everything together so well. You've got the special effects, you've got the models, you've got the music, you've got the script and the production quality, and it just sings out.
Thunderbird 4 to Thunderbird 2 on base control. Commencing launch.
Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons, a much darker series, followed.
The finger is on the trigger. About to unleash a force with terrible powers, beyond the comprehension of man. This force we shall know as the Mysterons.
There's something about Captain Scarlet, because it was a complete diversion from anything that Gerry Anderson had done before.
I was totally oblivious when it came out as a young boy to all the questions that were built up around it in the media about was it too violent, was there too much death and destruction in it.
Centurion robots from Battlestar Galactica, not scary. Daleks from Doctor Who, fairly scary. The Mysterons from Captain Scarlet, terrifying.
With some of the craft including the Spectrum pursuit vehicle and Angel interceptors as they defend Earth from the Mysterons.
We are peaceful beings, and you have tried to destroy us. But you cannot succeed. You and your people will pay for this act of aggression. This is the voice of the Mysterons.
Joe 90 arrived next, with 9-year-old Joe able to record the brain patterns of people and transfer them to his own mind. The Secret Service, an even less popular show, stopped after only 13 episodes, having had Father Stanley Unwin star in his Ford Model T as an undercover intelligence agent. UFO, Gerry's first live-action production, followed.
UFO, definitely one of my favourites. Again, this overall concept of an alien species using Earth and the humans to farm for spare parts, I think that's really got some really scary undertones.
All mobiles stand by for rapid fire. All mobiles, fire.
UFO was just brilliant. The first live-action series that Gerry did. It had great effects, great storylines, and the music's just groovy. I think that's the word to describe it.
I mean, it's all very well having these spectacular CGI shots going on, but ultimately an audience is never going to connect with something that's been made in a computer nearly as well as, you know, a model that has been made by a technician for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then that getting blown up before their eyes.
The Protectors with Robert Vaughn followed around the same time.
Live action series, The Protectors, I remember that coming up, and I do remember actually being disappointed. It was a Gerry Anderson production, but it had no toys in it.
Robert Vaughn was a very difficult person to work with on The Protectors, apparently. And, you know, didn't take it totally seriously, and the result is something fairly lackluster as a result.
Space 1999, almost a second season to UFO came, with Martin Landau and Barbara Bain as the stars.
I think what makes Space 1999 unique is that, unlike the space adventuring shows that you see, the humans weren't ready for this adventure. I mean, they went on this adventure by accident. I mean, you don't know what dangers they're going to expect and how they're going to overcome these problems.
After Gerry broke up with Sylvia, Terrorhawks, Space Precinct, Lavender Castle and the new remake of Captain Scarlet, as well as many other productions, followed along the way.
Terrorhawks, stay on this channel. This is an emergency.
Some people aren't really Terrorhawks fans, but I am, and I just love it, and the music as well, because I always think 80s music have a great beat to them.
Sergeant Major, Aluxin, everything's clear here.
Because the money that was used to make Terrorhawks came from Japan, it had to have that sort of Japanese feel to it, like robots with emotions, artificial intelligence, and there's an episode with a samurai involved, things like that.
Sergeant Major, landing 1020 clear.
My reconnaissance party, sir, report that the area is safe for landing.
Okay, Mary, take her down.
The name's Brogan, Lieutenant Brogan. For 20 years, I was with the NYPD. Now, well, let's just say I've transferred to another precinct.
I do remember with Space Precincts really getting into that series, although I was so much older, and thinking it was a really good concept, high standard, good production values.
In third place, the live-action 1969 to 1970 based television show UFO. Featuring the adventures of Shadow, Supreme Headquarters Alien Defense Organization, led by Commander Straker, Colonel Freeman, Colonel Foster and Colonel Lake, as they struggle to defend the Earth from UFOs and aliens, bent on survival needs.
I have to admit the fashion in UFO was, well, odd, to be honest. especially for the women, because they had these armless tops that go right up to their necks, and they had these really small skirts so you can see their knees. It's just weird.
With Moonbase Interceptor craft, Submarine Skydiver, Atmosphere Interceptor Sky 1 and ground-based Shadow mobiles, the show starred Ed Bishop, previously the voice of Captain Blue and Captain Scarlet, George Sewell, Michael Billington and Wanda Venton, and showed Jerry's first television venture into live action.
I mean, Ed Bishop, what an actor. He does so well in that series, and because he takes it totally seriously, he knows his character, he performs it well, he does it properly.
Again, this overall concept of an alien species using Earth and the humans to farm for spare parts, I think that's really got some really scary undertones, and I think it's a storyline which should be picked up and made more of.
In second place, the Supermarionation production of the 1960s, the successor to Thunderbirds, Captain Scarlet and the Mysterons.
This man will be our hero, for fate will make him indestructible. His name, Captain Scarlet.
Captain Scarlet is indestructible, and the military defense organization, Spectrum, will use him in every effort as they fight the ruthless, intangible Mysterons, who have the power to recreate an exact likeness of an object or person. Featuring vehicles such as the Angels, the Spectrum Pursuit Vehicle and the Spectrum Patrol Car, Captain Scarlet made for an action-packed adventure, but with certain darkness to the show as well.
Captain Scarlet is just a very interesting series, because when you look at the things that make it what it is, there's actually not much to like about it. For example, I mean, I'll just quickly leap to its defence here. I love Captain Scarlet, don't get me wrong here, okay, I love it. But when you look at the characters in Captain Scarlet, do they have any personality, really, whatsoever? The only character who's vaguely entertaining to actually watch is someone like Captain Magenta, and that's because he makes an idiot of himself quite a lot.
I've just witnessed what?
I've always found the Mysterons scary, and I mean, they're just such a really ruthless enemy. I mean, they can control matter, they're invisible, they can turn anything and anyone against you, even your best friends. How do you defeat an enemy like that?
Your word, President.
Lieutenant Green? Yes, sir?
I think one of the things which as a young person you don't realise about that show, and if you set aside the fact that we're talking puppets, that man, had he been real and human, would have had an incredibly painful life.
Spanning 32 episodes, the series was made around the same time as the two Thunderbirds feature films.
In Captain Scarlet, what you have is, and this was the first time this was ever really done, the world which the characters inhabit, and the world of Captain Scarlet, is actually incredibly detailed. Like, what appears to have happened is, before the show started, maybe it was made up as they go along, but you know, the way the military operates, the way the governments operate in this Captain Scarlet world that the series takes place in, that has really been thought about. Maybe that's what makes it so watchable, is that you are seeing these incredibly well detailed, well thought out plot lines that actually take place.
Wave to the crowd. Remember, you're supposed to be the Director General. Now, once you're underway, stop for nobody. I'll follow in 5 minutes.
SIG.
Finally, in first place, Of course, the obvious choice. The obvious winner. In Super Mario Nation, in the middle of the 1960s.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thunderbirds are go.
The show featured the 5 Tracy brothers who each flew a vehicle on the Thunderbird fleet.
I think the best thing about it is it's for nearly everyone, especially with boys and girls, because all the boys would be interested in the Tracy brothers, whereas the girls are more interested in Lady Penelope. And even adults would like it as well, because there's some great lines in there, like the stories with Parker and Light-Fingered Fred.
I just think that was really unique and different, and that, I believe, is why each time that series gets reshown, it gets a completely different and new audience.
I just love the launch sequences. They're just so cool, and you get to see different styles and how they're going to move as they can't walk. They have to use different gadgets to help them get to their machines.
It's all about imagination and creativity just being allowed to run riot in whatever way possible, and that is something that never ever ever slipped throughout any of Jerry's shows, ever.
The series was made with immense detail, scored by Barry Gray, and the special effects done by Derek Meddings, later to win an Oscar in his field. The cast included David Graham, Shane Rimmer and David Holliday.
Make it fast, Virgil.
In 4th place, you voted Stingray, the precursor to Thunderbirds, featuring the adventures of Troy Tempest in the Wasp's high-tech submarine against the fearful underwater ruler Titan.
So, yeah, I think that's my favourite Jerry Anderson series is Stingray.
In 5th place, Space 1999 Series 1 came, the escapades of Moonbase Alpha having been blown out of Earth's orbit and far into deep space, with monsters, aliens and darkness at every turn. In late 2012, Jerry Anderson sadly passed away. His unique shows will forever be remembered by his fans.
And I actually missed a trick which I will kick myself forever for, because I was editing an Oxfordshire-based business magazine and I could have actually made contact with him and actually asked to do that. So a message, I guess, from there is, if you get the opportunity to do something, take it.
All I can say is thank you, Jerry, for inspiring me, and we'll never forget you.
May Jerry Anderson live on forever, basically. I think that's what's going to happen.
Along the Milky Way and land upon the moon, to a wonderland of stardust, we'll zoom our way to Mars. My heart would be a fireball